Hi friends, welcome back. I'm actually heading out for a Pilates class and I thought, let me just get ready. I'm not going to put any makeup. However, these days I haven't been inspired to wear makeup, but let's do my skincare whilst I talk about random things I was thinking about last night that I want to share with you guys. I have noticed I got some new subscribers. Hi, I'm Faiza, and every week I talk about a true crime story, and sometimes I review a horror film I've watched whilst I'm doing my skincare. I'm obsessed with skincare. It's like therapy for me, self-care, all of that. And there's just so much to uncover regarding skincare, especially Korean skincare. That's like really advanced. But anyway, enough rambling. Actually, this video is about me rambling. So you know what I've been thinking about? There is a particular case. I haven't covered it on my channel. However, I was reading about it. So let me give you like a quick overview. It's regarding a woman, and she has been in a relationship with a cardiologist. However, it isn't really a relationship. They did everything a couple would do. However, he made it clear that they are not a couple. And it really affected her. But she thought, if I stick around, he will see my worth and eventually fall in love with me. So she was thinking, great plan. And when you're in love, you do stupid things. And I can't blame her. I mean, I'm not here to judge. But it's really sad. So what happened was she was going out on lavish dates with this man. He would, take her to fancy restaurants. They would travel abroad together. They would spend weeks, just hanging out, just the two of them. Promises were made. She felt giddy and euphoric, and she was in love. But unfortunately, he didn't feel the same way. I mean, I don't want to give this case away. I am going to do more research regarding this case, and then I will fill you guys in. But choices were made, and she got hurt in the end. So regardless of the dates they were going on, she was in love. He made it clear that he is sleeping with other people. She was burning in the inside. She really was. Like, God bless her heart. So this isn't a good arrangement. It really isn't. She was dating him for over 14 years and he gave her no title. He never told her, you're my girlfriend, I care about you. And she was just waiting and waiting. And then she waited some more. It was so upsetting. It really was. So ladies, some advice. If a guy doesn't want you, you be confused. Because have you ever met a man? They would pursue you and there's no excuses. And you would know. That's about it. And I highly recommend that you choose yourself and don't ever wait around. So for 14 years, they were on again, off again. And she was waiting for those feelings to reciprocate, and that day never came. And she became obsessed over time. I think she was soul tied to him because when you're sleeping with someone for that long and you just crave them and the feelings and that foundation has developed, but it was very much one-sided, if you know what I mean. I hope that makes sense. But with that said, I just felt bad. I really felt bad for her. But a lot of people were quite critical and they were like, you should have figured this out a long time ago that he doesn't want you. But when you're in love, you're not thinking clearly and all logic is out of the window at times. So 14 years go by and he just moves on with his life. I don't know if he breaks things off with her. I think he just ghosts her. I'm gonna try this new baby T3 collagen mask. Apparently it gives you glass skin and that's what I'm aiming for today. You're supposed to do your skincare first and then apply this. I'm gonna list everything down below, but back to the story. So he leaves and he moves on with his life. I don't know whether or not he broke things off or he just ghosted. I'm not quite sure. But he does leave, and this happened in the US, so he moved from one state to another. She found out through word of mouth that he's living with another woman that is much younger, and apparently they are dating. That's his girlfriend at this point, you know? And she was devastated. She was devastated. So she finds out where he's staying, and she drives for miles and miles and miles. And she eventually just breaks in, and a terrible thing happens. So I'm gonna end that there. And it was just, I felt bad for her. I really did. It is very upsetting. I think it's a good idea to not stick around for that long, you know? She honestly thought he was the one, and she didn't want anyone else. And her desperation took the best of her, maybe. I don't know. Another thing I was thinking about, I've been watching I Am a Stalker on Netflix. I was just trying to figure out these obsessive tendencies that people are going through, you know? It is quite upsetting that people think that they are entitled to you. They would see you as a possession. According to experts in criminology, they do believe that stalking is murder in slow motion. It's the constant harassment for me, you know? Like, if this person doesn't want to speak to you, why would you force your way in? I don't know, it just got my head going. I was thinking, like, no means no. And some of them, they justify it by saying, she didn't want me around, but I wanted to be around, and I didn't want to listen. Could you imagine how stressful it is for the person receiving all of this harassment, the victim? I would be so pissed. A stalker would break into your home. They would follow you around. They would ask your friends and family what you're up to. And it seems very depraved. It's illegal. Don't do that. I was just thinking, maybe they just can't handle heartbreak. Maybe that's the problem, you know? I don't know. I mean, there's obviously no excuse for behaving like this and doing all of this, but choices were made and they chose wrong. You know what gets under my skin is people that lie for no reason. I find that very, very irritating. I mean, I was friends with someone back in the day while I was in uni, and we would call each other before we go to lectures and classes and stuff. And, you know, she would call me and she would tell me that she's like 5 minutes away. And then I'll be thinking, okay, I'll see you soon. And then she would stroll in like half an hour later. And then I just brushed it off when it happened the first time. But then it kept happening and it kept happening. And then I put her to one side and I asked her, why are you lying? You know, you don't, whether you're 5 minutes away or an hour away, it doesn't matter. You don't have to lie to me regarding all of that. And I know it sounds like not a big deal, but if you keep doing it, it was worth mentioning, you know? And honestly, she didn't even know why she was lying. When people irritate me, I'm just gonna go away, you know? I'm just not going to deal with that kind of behavior. It's very unnecessary. What have you guys been up to? You know? I just been watching one person harming another, and I really do need a break. Hence why I'm making this video. It's just, it gets quite heavy on you, you know? I've been trying to post consistently, and this is a new channel, and it's a lot of work. I put a lot of work and effort into it, and I do appreciate each and every one of you guys being here. It means the world to me. It really does. So I have read a dating story online, which I find quite interesting. So let me explain it to you. It's about a woman, you know, boy meets girl, they start dating, and the guy told her that he's vegan. And she was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then he was explaining to her in detail why he's a vegan, which is fine. And he also said that he's a pacifist. So a pacifist is someone that, you know, doesn't resort in violence in any shape or form. So self-defense, in my opinion, seems to be out of the window. And over time, she realized that him being a vegan was getting out of hand because they just couldn't agree to a place to eat. Even though there's nothing wrong with being a vegan, you know, do you? I respect all vegans, but like it became quite difficult to be around, you know, because of their relationship. She said things like he would highly be critical of what she eats, and she wasn't a vegan, obviously, and things in their relationship started to get rocky. She also noticed that his parents were paying for everything, and at first glance, I didn't see anything wrong with that, but he was 35 years old. And she felt kind of annoyed by that because she felt, oh, I had to like work for everything that I got, and with you, it's just handed to you. So he didn't really appreciate hard work and effort in their relationship. And he was also a 50-50 kind of guy. So you pay for your meal, I pay for my own. And there was no sense of courting or romance in this relationship. And when he explained, it's not funny, but when he explained that he was a vegan, he also doesn't consume palm oil. And she was like, what's that? And palm oil is in almost every food you could find. It's in ketchup, it's in everywhere. Like it is very difficult to stay away from palm oil. And she asked him, why don't you take anything that has palm oil in it? So the palm tree or whatever, like it closes up and it harms the insects. So that's why he refrains from taking palm oil. And she was like, at this point, she was convinced it's a quote unquote eating disorder because he limited his diet so much and he became so obsessed. It was just not a joy to be around. And the conversations became they were bumping heads a lot. He would disagree with everything she would say, and he'll be like, I disagree with that. And he really cares about the injustice in the world, but it became too much for her. To make this all like very clear, I'm not trying to disrespect anyone that's a vegan. His take on that was just too intense, you know? And she did start picking at him, and she asked him, okay, I'll give you a scenario. If there was a break-in our apartment and we are faced with danger, since you're a pacifist, how are you going to solve this problem? And he said, and I'm not even joking, he said, I would just yell at the intruder. Just let that sink in. Then she asked him another question, because at this point she knew the relationship is over. And she said, let's just say we have a pet and it has fleas. How do we separate the fleas from the animal? A cat, dog, whatever. And he said, I would pick it individually out of the animal. Because let me remind you, he said that he's a pacifist and he isn't going to harm any living being in any shape or form. So what do you guys think about that story? They did break up at the end because she said, and I quote, there is no safety in this relationship. Everything is split down the middle and your ideologies are too far-fetched in my opinion. He was devastated when things ended. He really was. Oh, this mask is peeling. I'll be right back. I'm obsessed with glowy skin. It makes you feel so good about yourself. Oh, I didn't tell you guys how I got into true crime. So when I was young, this was like back in the late 90s, my dad used to watch the news a lot, and there was this case that was happening near the area I was living in. And what happened was a few children went missing, and I was and I was thinking, ooh, the kid's missing, they ran away from home, they're in trouble. That was my mindset. That's what I thought. Obviously, I was too young to understand. And going outside and walking my way to school every morning, I would see police tape, and there was like a thorough investigation going on. children in my area were getting abducted and murdered, and it was a shock to the nation. This happened like back in 1999. I can't remember what the case was about, but I was not even a teenager. I was just so young. I was probably like, how old was I? Like 7, 8? And it is so upsetting. It really was. Did they catch the killer? I have no clue. I don't remember the case that well. But then it got my head going. As I grew older, I was, watching a lot of documentaries and horror. And I was like, asking questions like, why would one person hurt another? Why do people unalive each other and stuff like that? Like, why does evil exist, Where does this come from? It's the why. Like, why would you do this? Like, why? Like, some people are out there hunting others. Some people are doing it for the thrill of it. Some people, I don't know. Like, I don't have the answers for it. There's not one answer to explain this offense, murder, So my content is about one person hurting another. My primary focus is regarding honor killings because, in my opinion, they're not spoken about enough. And this happens behind closed doors, in various communities, And I thought, let me raise some awareness regarding that. Oh, look at that glow. Oh, wow. I'm using the red bean water gel from Beauty of Joseon. I really do recommend it. It is so lightweight. Nice. I have highly sensitive skin, so using products, like new products, are very scary for me because I tend to get a reaction. Like, my skin will become so red and irritated. It feels so hydrating and it's lightweight and it gives you this glow. It's what I'm after. I want to look like a glazed donut. That is my aim. That's what I'm aiming for. My hair has been so dry. My skin type, my hair type is dry. And I need a lot of moisture. I use a lot of products. And I prefer them unscented, but with hair care, it is scented. But with hair, I do want it to smell good. That is a priority. But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I do need to head out. And if you reached this far in the video, thank you. I appreciate you. I will see you guys very soon. So please do stay safe and hydrated. And I will catch you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.